Alright guys, so today we're working on this 2003 yz250f. We recently did a full rebuild on it, recently as in last year, but it hasn't been touched, hasn't been rode. But it doesn't really want to run, it'll miss fire and it'll pop and stuff. So, and that's when we get it started. It takes a lot of time to get it started. So what we're thinking here is that timing is off. So to get to the timing, what we gotta do is we gotta pull the seat, which is 2 bolts, gotta pull this gas tank here, we have to pull valve cover, we have to pull valve cover gasket, then we also have to pull this little cap and this little cap, and then I'll show you guys how we can turn it over and adjust it. But first, let's get some stuff pulled, and then I'll video while I'm doing that, and I'll walk you through each part and what bolts are where. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so the first thing we got to do here today is we got to remove this, and then we have to remove this. They're 2 different bolts. I don't know why, but I might just go to Ace and buy 2 different bolts for them that match. That way it looks better. But yep, I got to pull those 2 bolts in the meantime, and then I'll get back once I do that. Alright, so once you pull those 2 bolts, I recommend just putting them back in the hole so you don't have to worry about losing them. You don't have to put them in tight, but just put them in there. So now what we've got is this little thing that holds gas tank on. You can either take it out with a Phillips, or you can try lifting on it and see if it'll pop off. I'm going to have to use a Phillips. They're a little tricky. So now I'm working on removing this gas tank. So we want to pull that. It's a Phillips. Then we want to pull this guy here. It's probably 10 millimeter. Not quite sure. I'll show you guys. Actually, let's see here. Got a 13 in my hand. Yeah, that's definitely a 10 millimeter. There's no way that's a 13. All right, so that's a 10 millimeter. So the nice part about this is that you don't have to pull each single one. All you have to do is pull the tank. So you can pull Phillips, you can pull this 10 millimeter, the other 10 millimeter on the other side, and then you got this bolt here, which I believe is a 12 or a 10, probably a 10, and then you got the same thing on the other side over here, right there. So basically what we want to do is we want to pull those, and then I'll get that on time lapse and I'll show you what we want to do next. Oh, we also want to pull this fuel line. Turn your gas tank off. Last thing you want to do is spill gas all over your garage. So turn the gas off, you can pull this fuel line, and then pull that, this screw, the screw on the other side, and then those 2 bolts. But here we go. Alright, so I was right. That's a 10 millimeter. That's a 10 millimeter. And then that is a 10 millimeter. And that is a 10 millimeter. All those bolts are on the floor. I'll put them back in the holes here in just a second. What I did though, is I took this fuel line, I pulled it off, and I put the mason jar under it so I didn't spill gas in the garage. It's always just a good habit to not spill. So basically what I want to do now is I want to work on pulling this carburetor. To pull this carburetor, what you want to do is, you got this little hose clamp. You want to unplug this throttle position sensor, and then you want to take off this choke cable, and then you can basically just pull it to that side. You also want to undo this clamp here, which I can't see from this side, but when I'm on this side, you can see it's just a little It's that Allen bolt right there. So I will get to pulling those, and I'll be back right after that. Alright, so one thing that I forgot about is that when you tip the carburetor, which I had to do to pull it out of here, it's gonna put out some gas. Oops. So it spilt a little bit of gas, but I just put my mason jar under it and tried to catch it all. I caught as much as I could, but I didn't catch it all. Alright, so the next thing that we want to do here is we want to pull this, which you just push down on this little tab here. Oh, I did forget to mention, when you're pulling this guy here, all you want to do is just push down on this tab, this white tab right there. You want to push down on that, it'll bend, and then you pull it off. It's a little bit tricky, but you can get it if you really try. So now that I've pulled this, pull this bad boy out. This is the coil that sends spark, or it's the coil pack. No, this is the coil, yeah. This is the coil. This goes from the coil pack, which is, it's usually buried up here somewhere. But yeah, so I want to pull this coil out right there. Just simple, like, just like a car, basically. But cars, they're screwed in. But now you got this hole here. That just goes down to your spark plug. You can see it down there. So now what I want to do is I need to remove these. 1, 2, 3. And then the nuts on them as well. This one doesn't have a nut. It's fixed to the plate. But this guy does. Those two have nuts right there. Another thing I forgot to mention. This guy here is a pain to get to, but that's how you remove the carburetor. That is a 3. So I was using this, an Allen 3. So now I got that pulled out. I'm gonna put it back on time lapse. I'm gonna pull these right here. Here we go. Alright, so I don't think you necessarily have to take those off, but it definitely opens up a lot of room here. But here, so this, you had these these Allen heads going through here, and then you had, so this was a 14 millimeter bolt. Then it was these Allen bolts along with a 12 millimeter nut on the other side. As far as the size of the Allen, let's see. The size of that was, it's a 5 millimeter Allen. So once I got that out, now what you need to do is you need to pull this guy and this guy, but first you have to pull off these hoses. But these are pretty easy. I can just do them by hand right now. You just pop it up and then you put it off to the side. Come on. There we go. Now that's off to the side. And then you got this guy here. Didn't even have a clamp on it, but I just pulled it off to the side. And I just want to pull those two. So those are Allens. So I'll be back once I've done that. Alright, so I got that valve cover pulled. You got my camshafts here, timing chain. And then you've got, this is like a hot start lever or a compression release, which is stuck for some reason. That is very interesting. Interesting. Alright, so what we want to do here, as you see these dots here, dot, 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 dot. Those need to be lined up with that. They need to be like right on top of it basically. And then it's supposed to line up with the things down here. But we aren't able to see the marks down here until I pull these off. So I'm gonna get you on time lapse 1 sec while I pull those off. We might drain a little bit of oil. Don't remember, but I'm gonna put this on time lapse. All right, so now what I've got here, I've pulled these things off, and I've got a 17mm socket. See if it'll focus, whatever. 17mm socket, it goes right on here. That's what you want to adjust, and then you've got this here. Let's see if we can get some light. So you can see the magneto, you got some lines right there, you got those dots up there. You want to make sure you're, hold on 1 sec here, let's see. There we go. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. We don't want to loosen this magneto bolt, so we want to tighten. So, look at this. Turning over the engine just like that. Now getting this is so tricky. Because you don't want to go too far. Because then you have to mess with everything again. So let me set this to where it needs to be, and then we'll check timing. Alright, so it looks like timing is on point. You can see the dot. The other dot, which is really hard to see at this angle. And then when you look in here, oh, come on. You can see that little mark in the magneto, and it lines up with those. So once you get that mark lined up with those, and you get these lined up, that's where you want your timing to be. So it looks like this is timed correctly. Now another thing that will cause these hard starting, 4-strokes do not like to start after a rebuild. They need a lot of break-in time. So what I need to do probably is I just need to get this thing to start and run for a while, get it up to temp, and then shut it off, and do that a couple of times. And then we'll see if she actually likes to start after that. So this is just how you check your timing on a yz250f. Looks like we're all set. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys have a nice day. Assembly is just it's the opposite of how we took it apart. Pretty simple. Don't need to worry about torque specifications. Just obviously don't over tighten them. But yeah, I mean, that's how you time your bike. And so this is how we looked at it to see if it was on time. To time your bike, you want to take this off. You remove this. This is a chain tensioner. So you remove that. The chain will have some slack in it. Then you have to take off bolts up here. And you have to take these things off here. So you can move the chain on the camshaft and turn it to where you're timed correctly. I don't need to do a video on that. I think that's good enough. If you have any questions, feel free to let us know, comment, please like and subscribe, and if you want a video on how to time this properly, I can mess up the timing and I can show you how to time it correctly after that if you want. Leave a comment down below, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching.